Welcome to Live, Life Inspired Views for Every Day. My name is Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul. For some reason, I am drawn to journeying with people through grief. I mentioned not long ago that I think about death a lot, not for the fear of it, but for the fascination and wonderment of knowing about it, yet not understanding the mystery of it. 2 weeks ago, I shared with you about the death of my friend Jennie Spencer, who had lived with leukemia for 4.5 years. Her celebration of life was held last Friday. I was honored when the family asked if I would facilitate the service, and it turned out to be an amazing tribute to this beautiful woman who lived such a transformation through her terminal diagnosis. Jenny was a quilter. She made many, many beautiful quilts over the years. During the service, there was a time for family and friends to share stories about their experiences with Jenny. Stories came from so many facets of her life. Stories that made everyone laugh. Stories that made everyone say, wow. Stories that made everyone nod with a similar Jenny experience. Stories. I told everyone that these stories were like pieces of her life put together as if constructing her last quilt. Then, as we sat together in the room, we were all wrapped up in the warmth of those quilted memories. No longer strangers, but friends belonging to the same patchwork. The television series Ted Lasso has a powerful line that we should etch into our memories. He said to the players of his soccer team after being defeated for the title, I promise you there is something worse out there than being sad, and that's being alone and being sad. Ain't no one in this room alone. Hmm. That is exactly how it was after creating Jenny's quilt of stories through the memories shared during her celebration of life. We were sad, but we were not alone. Long ago, I found a newspaper article written about my grandma Mirwald. She was well read, well traveled, and was accomplished in many of her interests. She was interesting, but also very interested in people and in learning. When I read that article, it made me wonder what kind of things someone might write about me in an article. From that moment on, I became more intentional about stepping outside the box of safe living to fill my life with learning and experiences, becoming more willing to take risks. I found such joy in becoming me instead of fashioning myself around what I thought people wanted me to be. That experience caused me to design my assignment for the students that I was teaching to write their obituary. The reason for the assignment was to give them a chance to reflect on what they would want printed about their life after it was over. What would they want people to say about them? Hmm. Reminds me of the book The Quilt Maker's Gift by Jeff Brumbaugh. In the story, there is a greedy king who liked receiving gifts so much that he made a law that the kingdom should celebrate his birthday twice a year so he would get more presents. After accumulating all the beautiful things anyone could imagine, he found he was still not happy. He thought there must be one beautiful thing that would make him happy. One day, one of his soldiers told him about an old woman who lived in the mountains and made the most magical quilts. The soldier said that she only makes these quilts for the poor. The king was sure he would be able to demand a quilt from the old quilt maker. But when he went to her house, the old woman only laughed and said, my quilts are for the poor and needy, and I can see that you are neither. I want one, demanded the king. Finally, the woman said, "Hmm, make presents of everything you own and give them away, and then I will give you one." He couldn't believe she was asking him to give away all his treasures. She insisted, and although he threatened and threatened, she stood firm, and finally he agreed to give away all his treasures in return for one of her magical quilts. With each thing he gave away, she added another piece to the quilt. The king started discovering that the more he gave, the happier he became, until finally he gave his last treasure away. When the old woman learned this, she put the final piece in the quilt and then set off to find the king. And when she found him, his royal clothes were tattered and his boots were worn, yet his eyes sparkled and he laughed with joy. She reminded him that she had agreed to give him one of her quilts that when the day came that he too was poor. He laughed and told the old woman, "But I'm not poor. I may look poor now, but in truth my heart is full to the bursting, filled with memories of the happiness that I've received after giving things away. I'm the richest man I know." Jennie's final quilt of stories show the richness of her life and those who were fortunate enough to share it with her. We should all ponder what stories we would want people to share of us after our death. What kind of memory quilt might be made at your celebration of life? This week, on your bathroom mirror, write, "I will live my life in such a way that the quilt made from my life stories is colorful and warm." Join me next Monday for Live, Life Inspired Views for Every Day. I'm Chris Meyer, and I'm a curious soul.